A royal decision has rocked the Sussex family. King Charles has reportedly removed Archie and Lilibet from his will. The move left Harry and Meghan in tears, blindsided and betrayed. What caused the monarch to make such a bold, cold choice? The truth reveals deep divisions and irreversible consequences. Meghan and Harry in tears after King Charles removes their kids from the royal will. The message didn't come with a call, no warning, no explanation, just a quiet shift in legal language, cold, deliberate, final. King Charles had officially removed Archie and Lilibet from his royal will. Prince Harry didn't hear it from his father. He received the news through legal channels, after inquiries about the estate surfaced during a financial review by Sussex advisors. The discovery came suddenly. His children's names were no longer listed among future royal beneficiaries. The inheritance once assumed to be their birthright was gone. Back in Montecito, the reaction was immediate. Meghan reportedly broke down in tears, asking again and again, "Why punish the children?" A close family friend described the scene as heartbreaking. Harry was frozen, sitting in silence. Meghan was pacing, trying to stay composed, but completely shattered. This wasn't about wealth. The couple have earned millions through deals and appearances. But this was about legacy, about belonging. And now, by royal hand, their children were officially outsiders. Insiders say Harry reached out to the palace through private channels. He asked for confirmation, hoping there had been some misunderstanding. The reply came back sterile and emotionless. The will has been updated in accordance with royal legal counsel. There was no phone call, no apology, no justification, just an unmistakable message. Your children are not part of this future. Even longtime royal staff were reportedly stunned by the swiftness of the decision. One palace aide told reporters anonymously, "It was cold. There was no hesitation. It was as if the ink had already dried before Harry even found out." For Meghan, the pain hit deeper. She had stepped away from royal life to protect her family, to shield her children from the scrutiny she once faced. But now, it felt like that decision had become the very reason they were being erased. "Everything I did was to protect them," she reportedly said to a friend. "And now, they're the ones paying the price." What should have been a quiet family matter has become a devastating break, one no royal reconciliation may be able to fix. The private decision inside Clarence House. It happened quietly. A legal meeting at Clarence House in early September. No public statement. No royal press release. Just a quiet update to King Charles's private will, attended only by his lawyers, Camilla, and a handful of trusted senior aides. And in that room, a decision was made that would echo far beyond palace walls. The change? Removing Archie and Lilibet from all royal inheritance provisions, including personal items from the late Queen and Princess Diana, private trust funds, and estate access. According to palace insiders, Prince William was informed, not consulted. That detail alone was telling. For a future king to be left out of a decision involving royal bloodlines, this wasn't just strategic, it was personal. One royal source claimed Charles told aides, "My duty is to the crown, not California." The wording in the will shifted. Where it once included grandchildren, it now referred only to heirs in the direct line of royal duty. It was a surgical legal cut, clean, sharp, intentional, and Camilla reportedly supported it. According to insiders, she told Charles it was necessary protection for the institution. Her influence, once underestimated, now quietly shapes royal direction behind the scenes. This wasn't about punishing Harry and Meghan directly. It was about drawing lines for future generations. A new kind of monarchy, one where only working royals share in the legacy. But the symbolic damage was irreversible. Former palace staff described the shift as a warning shot to others in the royal family. Step away from the crown, and the crown steps away from you. Harry's reaction behind closed doors. The moment Harry got the confirmation, everything around him reportedly stopped. Calls went unanswered. Meetings cancelled. He stayed inside their Montecito home, silent, stunned, and unreachable for hours. This wasn't just a legal update, it was a message from his father. Your children don't belong to this legacy anymore. According to a close friend, Meghan urged Harry to call King Charles immediately. Just talk to him, find out why, she said. But when Harry tried, the response from palace staff was chilling. His Majesty is unavailable. That silence cut deeper than the change itself. He cut off our kids, Harry reportedly said to a longtime friend. That's unforgivable. Royal insiders say the prince was completely blindsided. He had always expected tension, but never thought Charles would take it this far. Despite the ongoing rift, Harry believed his children would still be respected as members of the bloodline. Instead, he felt discarded. And worse, his kids were being used to send a message. Meghan, devastated herself, begged him to wait before speaking publicly. Their team considered releasing a formal statement, but their lawyers advised against it, at least until they reviewed the full legal structure of the revised will. Behind the palace walls, staff said the mood was icy. One insider described the fallout as the final break in a bond that was already hanging by a thread. There's no going back now, they added. Harry reportedly didn't sleep that night. He spent hours walking the garden alone. For a man who lost his mother young, who had always hoped to build a safer legacy for his own children, this moment felt like a brutal betrayal. He's been cut out, shut out, and now his kids are paying the price, said one royal watcher. What the will actually says now. The revised royal will, reportedly signed in private by King Charles, contains a level of specificity that shocked even seasoned royal insiders. According to multiple legal sources with knowledge of the estate planning process, the document now explicitly names only 3 royal grandchildren as beneficiaries of key trusts, heirlooms, and access to private estates. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. Archie and Lilibet's names? Nowhere. Not even mentioned. This wasn't vague. It wasn't legal gray area. It was precise. It was deliberate. It was exclusion on paper. Insiders confirmed that early drafts of the will, prepared shortly after King Charles ascended the throne, included all royal grandchildren under a broad clause meant to secure long-term family unity. The phrasing then was inclusive. All grandchildren of the sovereign shall be entitled to. But in the final version, that phrase is gone. Replaced with cold, clipped legal language, heirs actively engaged in formal royal service. This one revision, just 8 words, erased Harry's children from trust accounts, cut them off from access to private royal properties, and excluded them from dozens of personal artifacts tied to the royal legacy, including those linked to Princess Diana. Even a symbolic gesture, like a line acknowledging their place in the family tree, was removed. This wasn't about oversight. It was about exclusion, said one royal source bluntly. They added, there could have been a small provision, a piece of jewelry, a letter, anything, but even that was erased. One of the most heartbreaking omissions? Items that were long believed to be shared equally between William and Harry's children. Princess Diana's personal collection. Private heirlooms like handwritten letters, original paintings, and custom jewelry were once considered destined to pass down through both bloodlines. But now, according to royal insiders, those items will remain solely within William's branch. Critics argue that this represents not just inheritance bias, but emotional betrayal. The justification offered by senior palace aides is as formal as it is unflinching. Non-working royals do not qualify. But many royal watchers say that logic doesn't hold up when it comes to children. Archie and Lilibet were toddlers when the Sussexes left royal life. They never had the chance to decide whether they wanted to serve or not. So why punish them for choices they couldn't make? For many, this act may be remembered as one of the most emotionally damaging moves in recent royal history. One that sends a clear message. Royal inclusion is not about blood. It's about loyalty. And for Harry and Meghan, it's confirmation that even family ties, once considered unbreakable, can be cut with the stroke of a pen. Meghan's private breakdown. When the reality finally settled in, when it became undeniable that Archie and Lilibet had been officially excluded from King Charles's royal will, Meghan lost the composure she had fought so hard to maintain. This wasn't rumor anymore. It wasn't palace gossip or tabloid speculation. It was real. It was written. And it was final. Just days after the revision quietly circulated through palace circles, Meghan was seen leaving a discreet Montecito clinic, her face partially hidden behind oversized sunglasses, but even then, the emotion was unmistakable. Tears slipped through the calm exterior, and paparazzi captured what insiders say was one of her most vulnerable public moments since leaving royal life. Those close to her insist this wasn't simply grief. It was guilt, deep, relentless, and consuming. She feels responsible, a close friend revealed. She told us, "I protected my children by leaving, and now they're punished for it." That belief hit her harder than any criticism ever had. Meghan had walked away from the monarchy to preserve her mental health, to shield her children from relentless scrutiny, to give Archie and Lilibet a childhood rooted in privacy rather than protocol. But now, the very act meant to protect them had cost them their royal inheritance, their symbolic place, and their sense of belonging. Behind closed doors, Meghan reportedly replayed every decision, every interview, every statement, every step away from the firm, wondering if a different choice might have spared her children this outcome. Quietly, methodically, her team began documenting everything. Timelines, emails, old assurances, conversations that once promised inclusion and unity. Not to sue, not yet, but to prepare. Because this moment wasn't just about inheritance, it was about control of the story. And Meghan understands narratives better than anyone. Sources confirm she has already begun outlining a new book project, one that shifts the focus away from royal politics and onto motherhood inside the monarchy, the cost of leaving, the price of protection, and the betrayal that followed. One insider called it her most personal work yet, raw, restrained, and devastating. But the story may not end on the page. Multiple industry sources suggest Meghan is in quiet discussions for another televised interview, this time alone. No joint appearance. No royal balance, just Meghan, speaking as a mother, not a duchess. And those close to her say, if it happens, it could overshadow the Oprah interview entirely. She's not trying to burn bridges, one friend clarified. She's trying to explain what was taken from her children. In public, Meghan has remained silent, offering no statement, no social media response, no indirect messaging. But privately, she has been clear with those closest to her. This was the breaking point. Not the interviews, not the press, not the palace politics. This time, it was her children. And once that line was crossed, there was no turning back. William's cold silence. While Meghan and Harry wrestled with grief, confusion, and betrayal, Prince William remained silent. No statement, no phone call, no leaked empathy from Kensington Palace. He didn't distance himself from the decision. He stood by and let it happen. But make no mistake, he knew. According to multiple royal insiders, William was briefed weeks in advance, before the will was finalized. He wasn't officially consulted, but he raised no objection. Some believe he even helped shape the language. Others say he simply stood aside, fully aware of the consequences. To Meghan and Harry, that silence felt like a knife. To the public, it felt like complicity. Behind palace doors, aides quietly revealed what many suspected. William had come to view the move as a form of necessary discipline, a long-overdue strategic cleanup, a clear separation between those who serve the monarchy and those who simply share its blood. One insider quoted him coldly, repeating the line he's now known for: "You can't rewrite history while living off it." That statement, originally said in private, is now echoed by royal commentators, directed unmistakably at Harry's memoir, their Netflix docuseries, and the public criticisms that followed their royal exit. William's silence wasn't just emotional distance, it was institutional control. More than ever, he's being seen as the monarchy's new enforcer. Not just the heir, not just the steady hand, but the man who will protect the crown, even if it means sacrificing family ties. Even as Meghan reportedly broke down in Montecito and Harry retreated in stunned silence, there was no private message, no show of unity from William, no acknowledgement of the children whose legacy had just been erased with a pen. To those within the inner royal circle, this was no surprise. William has long held the belief that royal privilege must be earned through duty, not just birth. According to a senior palace source, the language in the revised will, "beneficiaries must be active working heirs," was inspired directly by William's philosophy. It was never about punishing Archie and Lilibet. It was about making an example. Now, with King Charles's signature on the will, William's vision of a slimmed-down monarchy, once only whispered about, is becoming reality. But the cost is steep. Two innocent royal children born into history, now quietly pushed out of it, not by scandal, not by rebellion, but by a structure that sees duty as the only doorway to legacy. And William, once the brother, now stands firm as the guardian of that gate. Charles's justification why he did it. Many couldn't believe it. How could a grandfather remove his own grandchildren from the royal will? But according to palace insiders, King Charles never saw it as personal. He saw it as duty. "This is about service, not sentiment," Charles allegedly told senior aides during private meetings. In his eyes, Archie and Lilibet's exclusion wasn't revenge. It was reality. Their parents, Harry and Meghan, walked away from royal responsibilities. And to Charles, that meant their children could not benefit from the crown's legacy. Insiders close to Clarence House say the king had grown increasingly uneasy over the legal and public scrutiny surrounding Harry and Meghan's media projects, especially their Netflix series, interviews, and Harry's memoir Spare. He feared that any inheritance or financial provision given to their children could later be weaponized by the press, twisted into accusations of hypocrisy. In Charles's own words, "I've already given them freedom. I don't owe them fortune." Camilla reportedly supported the move, calling it a protective measure for the future of the institution. She reminded Charles that Queen Elizabeth had always operated on the principle, protect the crown first, emotions second. In several meetings, legal advisors also pushed for clarity. The royal will had to reflect a future that was leaner, scandal-proof, and legally airtight. And that meant drawing a clear distinction between working royals and those who had stepped away. Even Charles's personal connection to his American grandchildren couldn't override the optics. He may have longed for peace, but as king, his legacy was now tied to stability, not sentiment. Still, one aide admitted, "He struggled. He's not heartless, but he made the decision for the crown, not the family." And just like that, Archie and Lilibet were out. The world reacts. Within 48 hours, the story exploded across the globe. It wasn't just a royal headline, it was an international scandal. British media first broke the leak, with the Daily Mail and the Times reporting that King Charles had revised his will and removed Harry's children from any inheritance. But by the next day, the story was on CNN, BBC, the New York Times, and Sky News Australia. Social media erupted. Hashtags like #JusticeForArchie and #LilibetDeservesBetter began trending worldwide. Commentators and celebrities began weighing in. Some called it a necessary royal restructuring, defending Charles for protecting the monarchy from internal dissent. But others were outraged, saying, "This isn't modern leadership, it's medieval punishment." In the US, several political figures even hinted at the racial undertones of the decision, reigniting past criticisms over how Meghan and her children have been treated. Public opinion was deeply divided. Many royal watchers pointed to Princess Beatrice and Eugenie, who are also non-working royals, yet still retain ties and respect from the crown. "Why are they still in, and Harry's kids are out?" asked one royal analyst. Within royal circles, however, the decision was mostly praised. One senior aide said, "This was a line that needed to be drawn. Charles acted like a monarch, not a grandfather." But critics weren't buying it. Petitions began circulating online. Royal supporters in the US called for a public explanation from Buckingham Palace. Even royal biographers expressed shock at the coldness of the will's wording. And yet, from the palace, silence. The monarchy moved forward, calm, composed, and unbothered. But for Meghan, Harry, and their children, the message couldn't have been clearer. You left the royal world, and now the royal world is leaving you. Sussex's plot. Next steps. After the blow of their children's removal from King Charles's will, Meghan and Harry didn't lash out. They regrouped. According to close sources, the couple's legal team began reviewing their options immediately. But after reading the fine print, one conclusion became painfully clear. The will was airtight. The king had acted fully within his rights. There was no legal path to reverse it. And yet, this wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something new. Behind closed doors in Montecito, discussions turned from inheritance to legacy. Meghan and Harry are now planning to create a private family trust, entirely separate from royal funding, that will provide for Archie and Lilibet long-term. The goal? Build a future that isn't tied to royal approval. Their business ventures, Netflix, Spotify, Archewell, will likely shift focus. Insiders say Meghan wants to center their work on children's rights, identity, and emotional well-being, using their own story as a framework. And Harry? He's not done fighting. He's expected to return to the UK next year, not for reconciliation, but for legal matters, including ongoing court battles with the Home Office over security, and possibly as another defamation case tied to recent leaks. A friend of the couple put it bluntly, "They're done trying to fix it. Now, they're building something of their own." The wounds are deep, but Meghan and Harry are using them as fuel. The exclusion of Archie and Lilibet wasn't just a snub, it was the clearest message yet. You're not one of us anymore. But instead of chasing the past, they're charting a new path forward. And that path may just reshape what royal legacy means in the modern world. A royal legacy forever altered. When King Charles signed the will, he didn't just change numbers on a page, he rewrote the rules of royal legacy. With one stroke of the pen, he made a decision that stunned historians, shocked the public, and devastated Harry and Meghan. Their children, Archie and Lilibet, born into one of the most famous bloodlines in the world, were cut out. Not for scandal, not for disloyalty, not even for breaking tradition, but for something far colder: distance. This was not a mistake. This was not oversight. This was intentional. According to palace insiders, this is the first time in modern royal history that a monarch has formally excluded their own grandchildren from the royal inheritance, not because of wrongdoing, but because they live outside the firm, because they are not active royals, because their parents chose freedom over formality. This moment marks a turning point in the monarchy's evolution. No longer does royal blood guarantee access to the crown's power, protection, or property. That privilege now comes with a condition: serve or be forgotten. What matters is not heritage, but proximity, not loyalty, but visibility. The message from the palace, though unspoken, is now crystal clear. You leave the institution, then the institution leaves you. For Harry and Meghan, this isn't just another blow. It's the final wall, sealed tight, between them and the family they once fought so hard to stay part of. It's the closing of a door they always hoped might reopen. And for Archie and Lilibet, two innocent children born of two worlds, it's the beginning of a lifetime spent asking where they truly belong. Are they royal, or are they outsiders? Are they family, or are they forgotten? Experts now say this could mark the official beginning of a colder, more transactional monarchy, less about tradition and more about branding. A monarchy that values image over inclusion and legacy over love. Because this wasn't just about removing names from a legal document. This was about drawing a permanent, painful line. A line between those the crown protects and those it erases. And now, Archie and Lilibet, two children who had no choice in this war, find themselves on the outside looking in. Not just from the palace gates, but from the future of the royal family itself. This wasn't just about money, it was a message. The crown no longer protects those who walk away. For Meghan and Harry, the damage is lasting. For Archie and Lilibet, the legacy denied may follow them forever. The royal future has been redrawn, and not all royal bloodlines are welcome anymore.